So here's a little video about scales. Scales, those things that you know you should do and you never do. I'm going to start out about exploring the C major scale. And you need to learn eventually, in due course, the full span of the C major scale, a full hand span down in what we call first position, the first finger of the first fret. More advanced, you'll learn to play the scale all over the fingerboard. This is the important area to start with though. First scale, or fragment of a scale, is the equivalent of a piano player's 5-finger exercise, is where you go C, D, E, F, G, and you do it going up and coming down. C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, starting and finishing on the tonic. The next fragment of scale you would do would be from C going down to G and back up. C, B, A, G, A, B, C. Then the next stage would be to put those together. All the time ending on the tonic. When you know that, you'll start to learn the same thing an octave lower, an octave 8 notes, starting on this C. And we go C, D, E, F, G, and back down F, E, D, C. I do that again. And then the next exercise going from C down to G and back up. C, B, A, G, A, B, C. We can complete the whole range within the first hand span by including F and E. So we can go from C, B, A, G, F, E, F, G, A, B, C. You might try just doing one full octave of C major, starting on the lower C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, back down again. And then you might extend that to an octave and a half from this C here up to that G there. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back up, back down. Then you might include the lower notes. So you could do a full up and back up again, starting from C. Back down and finishing on C again, and then you've thoroughly practiced the C major scale. The important thing is not so much that you practice that every day, but that you practice it until you completely know it. And you need to do that with all the scales. A lot of advanced players don't really practice scales as such anymore, but they know them thoroughly. Now the next thing for melody is the arpeggio. And arpeggios, especially on the guitar, can be thought of as two different groups. I'm playing an archtop jazz guitar here. If I go back to my classical guitar for the time being, one form of arpeggio that we do is where we form a chord shape and we play a pattern. Simple composition of mine called Reverie, and it's based on arpeggios. Forming a chord and then playing a pattern over them, and there are other patterns. But there's another form of arpeggio, and I'll go back to my jazz guitar for this, just to use different guitars, no particular reason other than that, where we use the arpeggios melodically. We'd use the arpeggios as I've just shown you for accompaniments, song accompaniments, for instance. But some tunes are made of scale-wise notes. If I was to play the notes separately like that, I might do the opening to the Ash Grove. That is all based on the notes from the arpeggio of C. And the chord of C is made of the first, third and fifth notes of the scale of C. C, sound D, E, sound F, G, C, E and G. So these notes, C, F, G, G, C, E, G. It's a set of notes based on the triad of C major. And the opening of the Ash Grove is based on the notes of that arpeggio. Sometimes sometimes tunes are just built on a scale passage, going at one step at a time, and most tunes are a mixture of the two. So a further exploration of the C major scale might be to play the various triads. Now a triad is a 3-note chord. We've just looked at the C1, C, E and G. You can build a triad in every degree of the scale. On C it is C, E, G. On D it is D, miss out E, F, miss out G, A, D, F, A. On E it is E, miss out F, G, miss out A, B, E, G, B. So taking from our root notes, the first, third and fifths. The C is the tonic, the root note of the C chord is the tonic. But we have root note, any note of the scale can be a root note taking 1, 3 and 5. The fifth note of the scale, in this case, is G, C, D, E, F, G. And the G chord is often a 7th type chord, so what I might do is add the 7th in there. Now, G, miss out A, B, miss out C, D, miss out E, F. So a G 7th chord might be like this: G, B, D, F, and I'll put in the high G to complete it. And often, very often, perhaps more often than not, with the 5 chord, the one built on the 5th degree of the scale, we make that a 7th type chord. That's the only 7th type chord I'm going to use here. So let's try playing the arpeggios of C. C, E, G, then D, D, F, A, E, E, G, B, F, F, A, C, G, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, B, D, E, and then back to finally G, C. Sorry about that. We can build up the chords into 2 octaves even. C, E, G, C, E, G. And I could go up there for a C if I wanted to, but we're not exploring that area. So we can explore the leapwise movement, moving 2 or more steps at a time, and with the arpeggios, and the scale type movement that we've already done, where it's 1 step at a time. As I've told most of you before, scale comes from the Latin word scala, meaning ladder or staircase. It's a ladder of notes 1 step at a time. So that's how to practice C major. Okay, I think we'll leave that at that for the moment. Have a play around with it, and we'll do something more fun at some point.